Cheers. Welcome to day 139 of our BU 365-day challenge to do one thing every day that improves us in some way. We are focusing on financial area and aspects of our life for this segment, for this month, the month of May. I call it Money May in my mind. I have for a long time, but I'm focusing on it with you as we go through the daily challenge and sharing some of the things that I do, some of the topics I think about routinely when it comes to money and mindset and the things I think we need to consider, our core values, our beliefs. We've gone through the SOAP framework on an area or aspect of our financial well-being. And I'm actually working on mine, believe it or not. I'm every day doing something every day to make my thing that I SOAP this month, which was creating a family trip to Texas for my nephew's wedding, a reality without taking money from other sources, other resources like savings or my retirement plans, etc. Creating new income to cover the things that I want to do. Well, our topic today is living a prosperous life or having a prosperous life. And so I got curious, well, what does a prosperous life mean to other people? And today we want to think about what does it mean to us? Because this challenge is all about becoming an improved version of ourselves a little bit every single day. And so we have to ask ourselves, what does this mean to me? So I'm going to share some definitions from the internet, of course, and you can decide, yes, I agree with that. No, I don't, in your mind. And then we're going to talk about 6 things that you can do to have a successful or prosperous life, as well as 7 tips from Mayo Clinic in terms of having a prosperous, happier, healthier, what else do they call it? Happier, healthier, live longer life. And those, to me, are repeats of things we've talked about in previous areas and aspects of the challenge. But some things are worth repeating, and knowing how to create what you want and get what you want, and the habits and things that will help you get there, whether you believe it or not. By the time we've gone through this 9 times, chances are you'll have at least discovered and thought about it for yourself and decided, yeah, that it is important that I get some sleep. It is important that I pay attention to what I'm eating. And it is important to pay attention to those 7 things, because I think we've done them at least 2 or 3 times before, and they're not the same source all the time, but we're hearing the same things come up over and over and over again. And if we hear what helps people be successful, and it's in more than one area or aspect of their life, and we hear it over and over and over again, maybe it's something we should test and try out on ourselves. All right, so what are some definitions of prosperity or prosperous life? Okay. Having the time and financial freedom to enjoy life at your own leisure. I like that one. Being in the flow, having what you need and the time you need it, or at the time you need it. So if I want money for a trip to Texas, I've got that money, right? That would be a prosperous life. Guess I don't have a prosperous life. I do. I just don't want, I like to test myself. The ability to achieve personal growth and financial security without sacrificing family and health. That's a good one as well. Not living paycheck to paycheck applies to a lot of people. I have been there, done that, didn't like it. Okay. Prosperous people, a couple things. Have a habit of being nice to other people, right? Good, prosperous, kind people tend to be kind and treat other people in good, positive ways. Why? Because that's how they feel about themselves. So that's how they treat other people, right? So it creates this cycle of generosity and happiness and flow out of them and then back into them from other people. Because if you treat people kindly, they'll treat you kindly. It's called the law of cause and effect. And I guess if we just go about our life and think about leaving every person we come in contact with I can't remember who said this. I want to say, I don't remember. It was one of the personal development gurus, but they said, Wayne Dyer, I bet, said this. I'm not positive, but I think it was Dr. Wayne Dyer. Leave everyone you meet with the feeling of increase. And he got it from probably Napoleon Hill or somebody else back further. But I remember Wayne Dyer saying this as well. If you make people feel better for having come in contact with you, it's always a win, and it will help to create a prosperous life for you. So what are 6 things that we need to do to have a prosperous, successful life? Again, this is not my list. I didn't write down where I got this list from, but it's a pretty good list, and it's always a starting point, right? We have to take everything and make it our own. So start with a list from other people and then tweak it and say, oh, yeah, that works for me. That doesn't. This works for me. This, maybe I'll test it. And then if it works, I'll keep it. If it doesn't, I'll let it go. So number 1, prepare a success-driven mindset, right? We've spent an entire month and segment talking about the importance of our thoughts and our beliefs. That is all about our mindset. Number 2, don't fear what others will say. Who cares what other people say? They're not living your life. Only you can live your life. Number 3, manage your time instead of wasting it. Okay, well, we all are continually improving in that area. Number 4, break your big dream into smaller goals. Break it down. Anytime you want to achieve something great or big, or what feels massive and big to you, break it down into little bite-sized pieces. That's what we're doing with this challenge, right? We all want to personally develop and grow. If you ask probably anyone on the planet, hey, do you want to get better? Do you want to be a better human being? Do you want to personally develop and grow? They'd probably say yes, but most of them don't, because it seems like this overwhelming task that they could never accomplish. But what we're learning is if you take it a little bit every day and do one little thing a day, it has a huge cumulative effect. Number 5, never stop learning. I am blown away by how many people, and what a large part of the population doesn't like to learn. They don't want to learn and grow every day. It's so foreign to my thinking. I don't get it. I know they don't, but I don't understand why. And I don't really ask why, because it's up to each individual to decide what and when we want to learn, who and what we want to be. And then finally, number 6, step up to your failures with a lesson learned. Anytime you fail or you don't get what you want, or you try something and it doesn't work perfectly the way you wanted it to, guess what? It doesn't mean it's over. It means that something needs to be tweaked. And look for the lesson in that and improve in your next iteration. I always look at failure as like stepping stones. I used to get devastated by failure. Not gonna lie, I've had some big failures in my life, and they've had differing effects on me depending on how long it took me to learn the lesson from that experience. Now, for example, my divorce. It took me a long time to learn the lessons that I needed to learn from that relationship and from that experience. I was one of those people that thought I was going to get married and I would never, ever, ever get divorced. So that I considered a failure based on my upbringing, based on my values, based on my beliefs. I felt like getting divorced was a failure. Now, it was definitely the right decision for me in my life, but it felt like a failure. And I had to learn the lessons from that in order to let that go and use it as a stepping stone to move on with my life. So 7 tips from Mayo Clinic, always good advice from Mayo, for the most part, I think. And we've heard these before. I know we've heard these before. Number 1, eat nourishing food. Hello, yes. You might have to hunt it down, but you can find nourishing food and eat it if you want to. Number 2, sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. I had a terrible night's sleep last night, so I have to remind myself of that one. 3, keep company with good people. Who you hang around with has an impact on the prosperity and the outcome of your life. Number 4, avoid news overdose. I personally thought this was an awesome one. It made me snicker because I gave up the news in about 1989, I think, or in the late 1980s. Could have been 78 or 88. I don't remember, but it was part of a training program that we were challenged for 1 week to give up the news and not watch any news. Now, remember, this was before the internet, so we didn't have our phones that we were checking all the time. I think it's a little bit harder now than it was back then because it's everywhere. It's all around us, but it's possible to do. Number 5, get regular exercise, and you decide what exercises are right for you and what is exercise to you. And number 6, do something meaningful each day, like an annual challenge that continuously improves you. And number 7, think good thoughts for others. And I would say think good thoughts for and about others and yourself. That's how I would tweak that one. So share in the comments below today just one way that you are working and using to create a prosperous life, to create the life that you want. Just share one thing so we can learn from one another. And I will be with you tomorrow. I did not look at our topics, so it'll be a surprise. Have an awesome day. Any questions, any comments, any concerns so far about anything we've covered so far or are going to cover in the future, or you want to make sure that we touch on and cover in the future, please direct message me and let me know. Or just, just ask. I always say, just ask, because the answer from me is pretty much always yes. All right. Have a great day, and I'll be with you tomorrow.